Drive safe. Turn right. Okay, let's find a new route. Make a U-turn. Turn left. Turn left. Get ready to turn right. Turn right. Keep left and then turn left. Turn left. Keep right and then turn right. Turn right. Keep right and then exit right. Exit right. Caution, please mind the speed limit. Keep left. ready to turn left. Turn left.
Bugger.
At the roundabout, take the first exit. Exit now. Caution. Please mind the speed limit. Get ready to turn right. Turn right. It's all over now. Time to get the job done.
Yeah, well.
Get ready to turn left. Turn left. At the roundabout, take the second exit. Exit now. Caution, please mind the speed limit.
Oops.
Keep left. Keep left. Keep left.
chat thing up next. Let's find.
Chest or pecs. Learn how at copperfield.org.
Tom Swarbrick on
listen to
LBC.
idiots.
Call 0345 6060
Watch
973.
434. I get this from Nick, which I find an interesting assessment of proceedings thus far in King's Lynn. Tom, wow, conservative turned Marxist Tom Swarbrick seems to believe in striking when necessary. Well, of course I do. Why wouldn't I think? That's self-evident. Of course, what is deemed necessary will be in the eye of the beholder. Looking at you, junior doctors. But absolutely, I have been on strike once myself as a young journalist. I stopped it once I realised I didn't get paid that day. Martin's in Bridlington in East Yorkshire. Hi, Martin.
Alan, yeah, I mean, I work in process engineering, so for the last 9 working days, 8 of them I've been in a chemical PPE suit, Wellington boots, a hood, lovely thick marigold gloves, a visor, helmet, hood, you can picture it, and I'm just only doing it for an hour or two. Our delivery drivers, they have to do it for every delivery, obviously depending on what the chemical is. You've just got to put measures in place, regular breaks, make sure you get cold water, as the air conditioning engineer said, put control measures in place. Yeah, make the buses pull over for 15 minutes, let them have a walk around, sit in the shade, have some bottled water, because with that at least you can keep going. It may be a slower pace, but you'll keep going. But if you just have a temperature and say no, how are we going to calibrate people's, oh well no, it's 29 in my bedroom, but my office is on the 3rd floor and it's going to be warmer, people are just going to swing the line. You read the medal, you go to work, do your job, and, you just look after yourself, don't you? I mean, they brought the Health and Safety Work Act to get our companies to protect us. We can protect ourselves, can't we? Just have regular breaks, make sure you've got water, use what's there.
Martin, do you think that your productivity, i.e. your output, has suffered as a result of the heat, that you're doing less because you're having to take more breaks?
I don't think I'm doing less. I'm a bit more, what's the word, brain fog, I would say, right. Because you just, oh my God, the sweats, there we go, it's rolling down off the end of my nose now, and now I can't see out my glasses, and then your visor, and then you lift your hand up, and the sweat runs out of your gloves, and you're like, okay, I'm only doing this another more 5 minutes, and then I'm going to have to move out.
You must be, if you don't mind me saying, Martin, you must have lost a lot of weight in the last few weeks.
I'm going to have to weigh myself, I really don't know, yeah. But I just get on with it, like I say, I don't know if it's my just me, but stuff needs doing. You get on. I mean, I know tomorrow I'm probably going to be wearing it all day. I don't know what the temperatures are tomorrow. I've not even looked.
I wouldn't bother. Martin, to just go easy. Thank you very much indeed for the call. 03456060973. I'd like to talk to you if you have literally not been working, you've stopped work, or you didn't go into work because it was too hot. 03456060973. Next.
Anthony Kiedis, and he's like 54 or something, and he's gone out with a 19-year-old, and it's like, dude, like, what are you talking about?
I've seen...
Vogue Williams there, sharing how disappointed she is in the Red Hot Chili Pepper singer Anthony Kiedis, who at one time, some years ago now, dated a 19-year-old when he was 50. He is currently 63 years old, dating someone who is several, I think 33 years his junior. Is that something to be disappointed by? Sophia Papakostas is a 25-year-old recruitment agency director whose husband is 21 years her senior, and they document the effects of that age gap on TikTok. Sophia, thank you very much for coming on. Is there something wrong or to be disappointed in the age gap between you and your partner?
You know what? I definitely don't think so. I think a lot of people may see it that way. To be completely honest, before I was in this relationship and obviously this marriage now, I did, have a certain opinion about people who were in age gap relationships. There's a sort of stigma attached to them where, people think that you're with them for money, and I also used to think that as well. But at the end of the day, I had no idea of my husband's age when we actually first met. He didn't know mine, so we just naturally fell in love. So we met around 3 years ago now. We met in the gym in the morning. We were both training, and that was kind of the first mutual interest that we had together.
So he's 43 at this stage, and you're 22?
So I'm 25 now, and he's 46.
Yes, but when you met a few years ago, did you say?
Yes, exactly. When we met, I think I was 21 and he was 42.
Once you found out his age, were you a bit like, ooh, or?
Yeah, I was quite shocked because he definitely didn't look that old, and he thought that I was kind of late 20s in my 30s. It was a bit of a shock, and because of the age, we generally didn't think that the relationship would work, to be honest, and we were quite worried as to what other people would think.
Obviously, the people here are consenting adults, but as a 50-year-old, is there something untoward about going out with a 19-year-old, as was at the time? They're an adult, but...
Yeah, I think it depends on where that person is in their life, to be completely honest. As in the 19-year-old, I think, for myself and how I am, I'm fairly mature for my age. I had a job, I was working my way up, I was progressing with that. I wasn't somebody who was going out all the time, but if you're a 19-year-old who is, still studying and still doing this, I do generally think you should try to just focus on your studies, just as a whole, whether it's in a relationship with somebody their age or older. But at the end of the day, do you know what? Love is love, and if you generally do fall for that person and it works, then, that is what it is, and the age is, you can't really do much about it.
Good luck to you and your husband. Thank you very much indeed. Sophia Papakostas is a 25-year-old who met her husband when she was 22. He was, I think we can say, much older, 40-odd. Is that disappointing? Is that untoward or unnerving? 03456060973. Gail's in Collierswood. Hi, Gail.
Okay, this is Heath.
Yes.
That is actually, it's no good sort of being self-righteous and saying about people not going to work. It's a health and safety question. And basically, employers are actually liable to look after your health and safety.
Yep.
I mean, I've just had an email about people at the V&A who are not allowed to have water with them. They're not getting extra breaks. They're suffering from dehydration, and some of them are fainting on the way home. That's totally unacceptable. I come from hot country. I come from South Africa, and I grew up in Israel in my teenage years, where the temperature was regularly 36, 38. At that time, there was very little. I think the only place that had what you call air conditioning was the post office. Basically, everywhere was built in such a way for maximum coolness, for air to flow through, whereas here, everything's built to keep the heat in and stop the air flowing through, draft. they don't understand grass in South Africa because the whole place is built for grass to go through. So that when you go inside your cooler, and basically, we've got to just adjust things. The buses have proper windows that open, and you've got a proper flow of air coming.
Well, not even that. I mean, surely it cannot be beyond the wit of man to put a fan somewhere in the driver's compartment of a bus, surely.
Well, this is the other thing. I mean,
Right.
that very hot time in May, where it was totally unbearable, the heat dome above, and I had a hospital appointment, outpatient, and I was just shocked. There was absolutely no fans, no air conditioning. Yeah. The windows don't open there.
So this is about adapting rather than putting in a sort of a kind of line we cannot cross that says, right, after this temperature you cannot work. It is therefore clearly in the interest of those employers to say we are not going to let it get to that temperature by putting in the air conditioning or a fan or whatever it might be. Gail, thank you very much indeed. Helen, I'll come to your call in just a few moments. There's a lot going on this afternoon, actually quite a lot of it seemingly heat related. Let me tell you about what's going on the trains right now, and a statement we've got from British Transport Police in the last few moments. Officers, they say, are currently on scene close to Lewis railway station following reports of a derailed train just before 4 o'clock this afternoon. There are paramedics there, the fire service is there as well. They say we'll put in more information as soon as they can, but a report of a derailed train close to Lewis railway station, which British Transport Police say they are now attending. Meantime, in Mitcham in London, the London Fire Brigade is telling us that 8 fire engines, around 60 firefighters are at a grass fire near Commonside East. Firefighters tackled a fire where around an acre of shrubs and grassland was alight. And interestingly, in the context of what the Prime Minister has been saying in the last few days, London Fire Brigade say the cause of the fire is believed to be a disposable barbecue. Time for a ban? Should the shops just not sell them anymore? 03456060973 is the number. Here is Mark, Tom, paramedic here. Several of our ambulances don't have air conditioning in the driver's cab. We are told air conditioning is not essential. We're left having to try and perform life-saving interventions whilst feeling unwell ourselves from the heat, or to try and concentrate driving on blue lights safely, he says. Meantime, here is Lee with a not unreasonable criticism. Tom, you seem to be deciding what is acceptable for millions of people. How about you turn off your air conditioning for a week and see how you and the staff get on? You expect your employer to provide a comfortable working environment. Why shouldn't others? Lee, I think they should. Difficult when you're outside, though. 03456060973. Coming up.
I'm Bronwyn Weatherby outside a pub in Cwmbran, where a 102-year-old who was allegedly assaulted here has since died.
Get the details in a few moments' time. Tom Swarbrick here on LBC. It's 4:45.
LBC Travel, I'm Louise Gookie. It's looking heavy on the M11. That's in both directions after an accident between junctions 7 and 6 for the M25. In Raynham, 2 lanes are closed eastbound on the A13 because a car has caught fire. Between the Ferry Lane interchange and the Wellington interchange, there are long delays on the approach. In Ebbsfleet Valley, it is solid on the A2 westbound towards an accident between Northfleet and the Bean interchange. On the trains, lots of companies are running with a reduced service today because of the hot weather. And on the tubes, there are severe delays still on the Bakerloo, Circle, Hammersmith and City, Metropolitan and Jubilee lines, with the District line being suspended between Edgware Road and High Street, Kensington.
This is LBC.
At Amazon, over 50% of deliveries now come with less packaging, or with no added packaging at all. It's a difference you'll notice on your doorstep, where you chat with friends, where your neighbour's daughter practices guitar, and where we deliver your new noise-cancelling headphones in the manufacturer's packaging. Much better. Reduced packaging from Amazon. We're delivering change where it matters, on your doorstep, based on 2025 Amazon packaging data across the UK and EU.
Call Tom Swarbrick 0345 6060 973 LBC.
When you go abroad, everyone knows the best way to make yourself understood is to say everything in English, but louder.
4 beers, please, garçon!
Just like when you amplify your advertising with radio. 40 million listeners every week get the message. See radio differently at radiocentre.org.
Serious about the right vitamins for you and your family? Trust Vitabiotics, the UK's #1 vitamin company for expert nutritional care for every age and lifestyle. Vitamins for everyone, including well man, well woman, well baby and well kid. From Boots, pharmacies
survival rates higher. This is your reminder to check your boobs, chest or pecs. Learn how at copperfield.org.
When you're smiling, the whole world smiles with you.
Life feels better with a smile. Banning Dental Group Clinics. Modern, comfortable and affordable dentistry for all. See online for our price match promise. Keep on smiling.
Keep on smiling. Keep on smiling. And the whole world smiles with you.
banningdental.co.uk.
How does a $20 golf gadget end up being used as a bomb detector in war zones worldwide? I'm Alice Levine, and this is Explosive Lies, the podcast exposing a scam that fooled governments and security services across the globe. Open our free Global Player app and search Explosive Lies to start listening today.
A message from TfL for drivers and motorcyclists. Before you turn, look around. Is there a cyclist in your path or approaching behind you? You now need to always let them pass before you turn. Follow the highway code to keep everyone safe. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
Tom Swarbrick on LBC.
4:48 the time. Helen is in Manchester. Hi, Helen.
Hi, Tom.
Hi. You're a dog walker.
I am. Well, not very much at the moment.
Oh, really? Oh, of course. Of course.
Yeah, when the temperature gets to around 24 degrees-ish, anybody doing my kind of work, we have to start downing tools. It's just not safe to have the dogs out. There's things you can do to mitigate it. You can find shade, you can find places with water. But on an average day, I usually do 3 group walks a day. And when the weather's like this, I have to go out earlier. And I can still only do 1 group walk a day. So I lose about 2/3 of my income every day that the weather's like this.
Do you advise the people whose dogs you walk that you won't be taking them out because it's too hot, even if they want to?
Yeah. Yeah, my customers are actually really good. I've heard some horror stories from other dog walkers about customers getting upset and saying, well, why aren't you walking my dog? And, oh, this is terrible. And you have to explain to people, I'm not doing this because I'm lazy. I'm doing this because it's genuinely unsafe to walk your dog. I'm doing this for the benefit of your dog. You can offer things like afternoon visits and go and see dogs in the houses and play with them for a bit. You can let them out in the garden if they need to go to the loo. But it is too hot to be walking dogs, which means it has a massive impact on your income.
I hadn't thought of it, because obviously our dog we haven't taken out when it's been really roasting hot, particularly in the middle of the day. Pavements also get really hot, and that really hurts their paws and stuff when they're younger. But I hadn't even thought about the effect on dog walkers. So it's a very long hot summer for you.
It has been. I've been a dog walker. This is my 9th summer, and this is by far and away the worst. This is at least 3 times as bad as any other summer I've had before. And I'm not even out of August yet.
And I also don't know what you do about it. I mean, if you drive a bus, you'd hope that the bus company will put some air conditioning in. I don't know what you do. If the weather outside is the weather outside, there's not a lot you can do about it.
As I say, I've been doing it a while, so I'm lucky that I've diversified a little bit and I've managed to build up a few kind of cat customers who they kind of come on board a little bit more when the school holidays hit. So they balance things out a bit, but usually that would be a little bit of extra income for me that I've earned over the summer, and it doesn't make up anywhere near as much as I would be making from dog walking.
So can you believe, Helen, that the economy is 4.4 billion short, potentially because of a loss in income for various different people? Either they're not working as hard or they're not working at all.
Oh, definitely. I'd say 20% of that is just as dog walkers.
Oh, God. Can't be that poor, Helen. Thank you very much indeed for the call. Here's Sean. Tom, this is pathetic. Get a fan or open a window. How do you think people manage in Africa? This nanny state attitude in the UK is why we as a country are so poor and going to get a lot poorer. Well, I bring you to Sean's text, actually. Another Sean. Sean in Osaka in Japan. Tom, in Japan, all construction workers, electricians, plumbers, deliverymen, work throughout the blisteringly hot and humid summers without any fuss because they all wear battery-powered, air-conditioned clothes. No. Really? They've got it. I tell you, the Japanese have got it sussed. 03456060973 is the number. 4:52 is the time. Let me bring you this news from Cwmbran, where a 102-year-old man has died after allegedly being assaulted at a pub. Philip Ormerod was taken to hospital in a critical condition following an incident at the Crow's Nest pub in the town 2 weeks ago. Bronwyn Weatherby is LBC's Wales correspondent, joining us from that pub. Bronwyn.
Well, this all happened, Tom, as you said, at the Crow's Nest pub where I am currently in Cwmbran on Saturday, the 1st of August. The 102-year-old man who's been named this lunchtime as Philip Ormerod and who's from the town was allegedly assaulted sometime around 10:25 on that night. Emergency services were called and Mr. Ormerod was taken to hospital in a critical condition. Today we've been updated, sadly, that he has now died in hospital. In a tribute to his father, his son Robert described him as a well-known character at the pub, who young people and locals would buy drinks for when he visited. He went on to say that his father lived alone in the nearby Llanrafon neighbourhood, where he raised his family, and that he had been diagnosed with dementia, and says that his father had visited the pub that night when there was a live music night on, and that he'd stepped on stage to ask for the sound system to be turned down, but he was allegedly pushed away and he fell. He's called for justice for his father. Now, when we spoke to some of those at the pub today, he was undoubtedly well known, and one pub goer told me that he was a lovely guy. Local Reform Senedd member Laura Ann Jones told us she's deeply saddened to hear of his passing and urged any witnesses to come forward to the police. Now, we do have a statement from the police, from DCI Shelley Comley. She's the senior investigating officer for Gwent Police on this case, and she said, "We understand the public interest in this incident, but we want to remind people that not only is this an active criminal investigation, but there is a family at the heart of it processing the loss of a loved one. Please consider the impact that inaccurate or speculative comments, particularly online commentary, could have on them and the ongoing investigation as a whole." Now, a 56-year-old man from Llanelli who was arrested remains under investigation. He's been questioned on suspicion of Section 20 assault. Meanwhile, Gwent Police say their investigation is still ongoing. They're looking to speak to anyone who was at the pub between 10 and 11 p.m. on the night of the incident. And clearly, Tom, this is a very distressing time for the family of the 102-year-old Philip Ormerod, who, as I say, has now died in hospital following that alleged assault here in Cwmbran at the start of the month.
Incredibly distressing, Bronwyn. Thank you very much indeed. Bronwyn Weatherby, LBC's Wales correspondent, joining us from that pub in Cwmbran. Alif is in Islington. Hi, Alif.
Hi. I spent about 4 months when I was a little child in Cyprus going to state school there. My family is Cypriot. Now, what they do in Cyprus is that when it's really, really, really hot, they'll start working about 8 in the morning, stop at 1, and then restart at 4. And the school's shut at 1 because it is just purely too hot, even with air condition. Now, your producer asked me, well, should we do that in this country? Maybe we should consider it if our sons carry on like this, but I'm worried that no one will go back to work after 1. That's the only problem
I think, the processes may change as a result of the climate that we're working in, but our mindset will not. So if people get to knock off at 1 because it's too hot, it's pub time.
That's the problem I have. But in the 70s, my mum, I was born in 79, but apparently in the early 70s it was so hot here that they used to do half days at work.
During the long hot summer of 76?
Yeah.
Well, given that, I think we've probably breached heat records this summer, so we can knock the long hot summer of 76 into a cocked hat, frankly, because of how hot it's been and how dry it has been. And I think maybe you're right, Alif. Maybe we are just becoming more Mediterranean in that sense, and therefore adopt some of their practices. Wait till we start initiating siestas.
I think the kids, we really need to reconsider about the school times for the children in the summer, because I've got 4 small children myself, and they really did suffer this summer in school. Maybe we need to first prioritise that before thinking about anything else. I don't know, I'm not the government, but if we carry on with our summers like this, we do need to do something, because it's not fair on the NHS. Really, it's not fair on the NHS.
In your kids' school...
it's an old school. Well, no, they never shut.
Go straight on.
They were there throughout the whole school days, even though it was an old Victorian building. But it's just the heat is too much for the children when it gets this hot. Maybe we do need to start considering other countries. What do they do? What do they do when the summers are really hot?
Quite. But this
we need to start looking at our neighbours a little bit.
This idea of a maximum temperature beyond which you can down tools. Do you think that's what
they do in Cyprus? No, they do that in Cyprus.
Do you think that's the place to start?
They're going to have to soon. They're going to have to. If it comes to the point where it is just far too hot, they're going to have to, because don't forget, there's no breeze in this country. Like, I've just gone outside thinking it can't be that hot, but it's like being in Cyprus without any air.
I think, Alif, this is completely unscientific, but I just think 38 degrees in Britain is 42 degrees in Cyprus. It just seems so much hotter.
More. Because if you look at the world, we're really high up, aren't we? So we are closer to the sun than most other countries are. So yes, when it is 35 here, it's like 45, 46 in Cyprus. I kid you not.
I think technically if you're closer to the equator, it's hotter.
Yes. But also we are, the vast is, we don't have enough wings. We don't have a barrier that makes any sense. Trust me, because I spent months and months in Cyprus when I was a little kid, and I could handle the heat out there. The heat here is different.
I agree.
It's suffocating.
It's very strong, good old British heat. And thank you very much, Steve, for the call. Yes, I would suggest that the countries surrounding the equator are probably slightly more in it when it comes to the heat than we are. Thank you very much, Steve, for the call. You're listening to Tom Swarbrick here on LBC. In the next 60 minutes...
Enough's enough. We've all, as a nation, got to stop paying our bills.
Despite a hosepipe ban, infrastructure creaking and huge dividends being paid out, your water bill is going to go up. About 2 million homes in the southern water region are set to have the highest bills in the land. How much they're going up by, we'll tell you.
And my message to British business is quite simple. I will back you as your Chancellor.
Economic growth slowed to 0.4% in the last quarter. The Treasury predicts it could be as low as 0.3% next year. We'll bring you the details.
I checked on UCAS before I came. I saw I got in. After that, I didn't really mind what I got there.
And it is a bumper set of university admissions this year. A-level results are out and admissions are up by 3%. But is this the direction of travel that the Prime Minister wants to see? If you didn't go to university, what are the options?
On your radio, on the LBC app, and...
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC.
From Global's newsroom at 5 o'clock, temperatures have climbed to 38.1 degrees at Kew Gardens in London. That's the hottest recorded in the UK this year. The heat is impacting transport, with some rail operators advising against travel. Some bus drivers in London are striking tomorrow. Driver Joe told LBC conditions are unbearable.
Drivers across the platform sharing the pictures of the thermometers in the cab reaching 40, sometimes even more than 50 degrees. It's basically a greenhouse on the road.
Nurses have said some hospital buildings are unfit for humans. A train has derailed near Lewes Station in East Sussex. Emergency services have gone to the scene. Network Rail says there will be disruption until at least 10 o'clock. A Romanian couple who killed 2 married men after drugging them unconscious to steal cash and jewellery during sexual liaisons have each been jailed for 17 years. 31-year-old Adina Mihai, who posed as a sex worker, and her partner Madeline Dimitru, who's 30, arranged to meet men paying for sex at their homes. A 102-year-old man has died after allegedly being assaulted at a pub in Cwmbran at the beginning of the month. Philip Ormerod was taken to hospital in a critical condition. A 56-year-old man remains under police investigation. The head of the Crown Prosecution Service has admitted to LBC they didn't tell a court that serial sex attacker Simon Levy was under investigation for sex offences. The 40-year-old from Tottenham has been given a whole-life order for the murders of 2 women in London and the rape of a third. He committed the offences while on bail. Stephen Parkinson says there were failings across the criminal justice system.
We're refreshing our training, particularly concentrating on risk management, where there's patterns of offending, as in this case. We're increasing our training around robust decision-making and empowering prosecutors to ask for adjournments where that is needed.
In the city, the FTSE 100 closed down 60 points at 10,773. The pound buys $1.35 and €1.17. LBC weather, cloud and showers in Northern Ireland and Scotland tonight. Warm with clear skies. spells elsewhere and a low of 15 degrees. Another very warm start in England and Wales tomorrow before cooler and cloudier weather moves in from the west. Thunderstorms are possible in the southeast, a high of 33 degrees. From Global's newsroom for LBC, I'm Tim Humphrey.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Tom Swarbrick.
Very good afternoon to you. 3 minutes past 5 the time. Tom Swarbrick here on LBC. This hour,
checked on Newcastle before I came. So I got in after that. I didn't really mind what I got then.
I'm really happy. I wasn't expecting them to be as good as they were, to be honest.
I got A, B, which I'm really happy with.
it is a bumper year for universities. The number of UK school leavers accepted onto degree courses has now hit a record high. UCAS figures show some 262,000 18-year-olds in the UK have now been accepted to their university. That is up 3% from last year. A huge congratulations to you and to your household if today has brought you what you want. But is it what the Prime Minister wants?
We've had a system built for too long around the university route, and it sends a message to some young people that they're some kind of second-class citizens, and it's just not right. They need an education system that works for them as well, that offers a path to all young people, that's balanced between academic and technical. And the evidence is where countries have an education system based on that principle of parity, Germany or the Netherlands, they have far fewer young people who end up not in education, employment or training.
Andy Burnham has called for a move away from higher education and towards practical jobs. He claims Britain will come to value the hard hat every bit as much as the graduation cap. A reminder, youth unemployment is at 16.2%. The proportion of graduates who are NEET is now nearly 1 in 5. And then, of course, there is the cost. The student repayment loan threshold is £4,385 lower at £25,000, meaning you will reach the repayment point on a 40-hour minimum wage job. I wonder whether the record university numbers are less a reflection that university is the best route to a job and more of a reflection of the fact that it is the only route that young people feel they can go down to try and get a job. And maybe the Prime Minister seems to think similarly. 03456060973. Georgia Gould is Minister for School Standards and Labour MP for Queen's Park and Maida Vale. Thank you very much indeed for coming on the programme. Do you think it is wise to try and divert, give more options to 18-year-olds who clearly want to go to university in big numbers?
Hi Tom, good afternoon, and just wanted to firstly start by sharing your congratulations to the students. It's wonderful to hear some of their voices there, and people have worked so hard, supported by their families and teachers, and had some brilliant results. And so we're really proud of them, and wanted to just say that first. But I think we're really proud that there are more young people going to university and that we have world-class universities. What we're saying is we don't want that to be the only route for young people. For too long, if young people didn't want to go to university, if they wanted to do an apprenticeship or get straight into work, those routes have been uncertain, they haven't been high quality enough, they haven't been joined up enough, and we want to make sure that in the new system it's as celebrated and as easy to take those routes as it is to go to university. And we've seen a 40% reduction in young people taking up apprenticeships. That we need to reverse that.
So do you think then in this cohort of 18-year-olds off to university there will be a proportion for whom a technical qualification or a vocational route or an apprenticeship or a degree apprenticeship would be a better option for them?
I think for many of those young people, when they're going to university, some of them will be doing a technical route through university, it's becoming engineers or different roles that take that university route. But I think those young people have chosen university, and that's something to be celebrated. Yes. I think that the argument we're making is there are over 50% of young people who are that's not the route they're choosing, and we want to make sure that they do have a really high quality route. And it might be in the future that some young people make those different choices, but our mission is to make sure both are really powerful options for young people, whatever their aspirations are, whatever their strengths, however they want to learn, that there is a high quality route, and that just hasn't been the case. And there are some really positive signs of progress. The T-level results are really positive, so I'll let you ask.
No, you carry on.
T-levels, we've seen more young people taking T-levels, we've seen higher pass rates, higher distinctions, higher merits, and these are industry-focused qualifications. Young people spend 45 days in industry placements that they really enjoy, and they're brilliant outcomes at the end of those qualifications.
Do they get jobs? Are they... compared to the outcomes for university-educated graduates, is someone who is on a T-level more likely to get a job at the end of it?
They're more likely to... They have higher rates going into work than some of the other kind of qualifications that are out there. And I think that what we've seen is there are over 900 different level 3 qualifications that young people are taking, and we want to make sure that the qualifications young people take are qualifications that employers recognise, that when they go into the job market they can be really clear about those links into work. So on top of T levels, we're developing new V levels, which are about the same size as an A level, and they will.
So how we've got A, T, and V levels?
A, T, and V. Right. Yeah. Now today, a lot of people are very focused on A levels. I really hope when I come next year, people are just as clear about T levels, and in the years to come around V levels.
Does that not show that the university degree to some extent is not working as well as it should do if a T-level apprenticeship or a T-level taker is more likely to get a job?
Well, listen, T-levels are a 16 to 18 qualification, so some people who take T-levels go to university, some go on to an apprentice, some go into work. So I can't tell you the comparison. It's too early really in that process.
Yeah, I guess it's the question and the link between skills and jobs.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you've seen this, well, I think this is a very worrying statistic actually, that US workers who are functionally illiterate earn roughly the same per hour as the average British worker. US workers who score stunningly low on literacy earn an average of almost $30 per hour, and 2/3 of them at work. Their British counterparts make the equivalent of $20, and fewer than half are employed. So we've got students with the skills, but who can't pay the bills, Minister.
Yeah, and I think that education is one part of the change that needs to happen. The other is making sure that we are growing our economy, and you'll have seen there, in the context of how hard things are internationally, there have been some positive growth results out today.
Well, it's down. Sorry, growth is in the second quarter.
It's down, but it's been resilient. Our economy is still growing in the context of everything that's happening, which I think is a positive, and shows the resilience of the British economy. But we're absolutely clear that there are not enough jobs and opportunities in the regions across England, and that has to change. And I think part of the reason for that is because policy has been too centralised, and one of the things I'm really excited about in Andy Burnham's platform is the commitment to devolution, to strategic authorities, to mayors, so you can start to work together with businesses, with universities, with further education colleges, to really make sure that there are those positive routes into work, and that we are kind of investing and growing our local economies. And we know that one of the reasons that people will invest in the UK is because of skills.
Final thought, it's of course not just the student and the parents who put the work in to get these grades, teachers have as well. I see that you are about, I think, 70% of the way to recruiting 6,500 secondary school teachers, but the number of teachers is actually down nearly 2,000 since you came to office. Why is that?
So we are seeing reductions in primary school numbers, and that is because of demographics. So we have fewer children fewer children who are being born, fewer children who are going into school, and that has meant that there are fewer teachers needed to teach those children. But where we are
so
still,
why are you trying to recruit more?
Because our recruitment, our pledge is focused on where we know there are gaps, which are secondary school, FE. We've just been talking about the need to expand technical education, and that it is really important that we have more teachers to do that, and special schools. So we are recruiting in the areas where we need more teachers, and we're seeing really positive results.
Appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on. Georgia Gould is Minister for School Standards, Labour MP for Queen's Park and Maida Vale. 5:12, listening to that, Jimmy McLaughlin, former Downing Street Business Director and host of Jimmy's Jobs of the Future podcast. Jimmy, thank you very much for being there. Can I just come back to that stat about US workers? They are barely literate, and they are earning as much, if not more, than a skilled, potentially a skilled graduate in the UK. That says something about our economy, does it not?
I mean, it does. There's no doubt about it. It says that the American economy has grown a lot stronger over the last 2 decades than ours has. And you will look at American firms, they will often have their biggest engineering base. If you look at the big sort of American tech companies that we all know so well, part of the reason they build big engineering bases here in the UK is because the talent is quite cheap compared to San Francisco.
Yeah. So does it work then? The link between school, university and job, or are we starting to see that fray?
I think we are seeing a massive change in the job market and what is happening. I think we have for the last decade. It was so much of our society was built on the basis of get good A-levels, get a good degree, and then you will have a job and you will have a job for life. That is simply not the case anymore. The job market is changing at a drastic rate. We know about all the kind of changes that are coming in with AI, etc. And I think that it is a really tough time to be a young person trying to work out what these future jobs look like.
Does that mean that the route into work needs to change away from universities, or universities need to adapt what it is they're offering, or both?
Well, so look, I think universities partly need to adapt what they're offering. I think one of the biggest challenges, if you're an A-level student today and you're about to go to university in 3 years' time, the job market could look very different in 3 years' time. I think one of the things that universities have been good at is that they are offering a lot more extracurricular activities around the side. When I go to campuses nowadays, there's a lot more going on. There's entrepreneurship societies, there's business societies. I think that's really important, actually, because going there and learning geography, politics or history for 3 years as a singular activity is probably not the sole best use of your time when you're there. You need to take on lots of other things.
But can universities do that? Can employers do that?
Well, I think there's a challenge with employers. Employers have always sort of slightly below the standard of people leaving school and university and they're not trained up and so on. And you have a lot...
Try telling that to the Americans.
Well, but you're seeing a huge amount of that sort of challenge from employers at the moment about what they want. But also, the cost of hiring people has gone up exponentially. I know you talk a lot about this on the show. Over the last 5 years, it's cost you now 40% more to hire somebody at the lowest level. You know, that is a big cost of business, and it's a huge challenge for people when they're in the early part of their career. Because actually, for the first 2 or 3 years of most entry-level jobs, you're just learning the ropes anyway.
Really good to have you on. Good to see you again. Thanks, Jimmy. Jimmy McLaughlin, former Downing Street Business Director, host of Jimmy's Jobs of the Future podcast. Just before we come to the news headlines, I must just bring you up to speed on what is happening in East Sussex, where near Lewes there's been a train derailment. The Transport Secretary saying that she's deeply concerned at reports of a derailment involving a southern train, that she's grateful to the emergency services who are on the scene supporting those who are impacted. We're working quickly with the rail industry and local partners to assist passengers. There is an image of what seems to be a train on its side, seemed possibly to have slid down an embankment as it comes to a rest in East Sussex. We'll have our reporter who is heading to the scene as quickly as she can for more as we get it. But clearly quite a serious incident now in East Sussex after a train derailed. On A-levels, we never hear of children opening their T-level results, do we? You never get. I was doing it this morning, so I'm a hypocrite. On Good Morning Britain this morning, there we were doing the show, going to a college to see children open, I say children, young adults, open their A-levels. You never do the same with T-level results. Why? If you didn't go to university, what were the other options? Or were you just left to it on your own, trying to figure out what to do? 03456060973, the number 516. News headlines now. Tim Humphrey.
Emergency services are at Lewes Station in East Sussex, where a train has derailed. All lines through the area are blocked. The hottest temperature of the year of 38.1 Celsius has been recorded at Kew Gardens in West London. A Romanian couple who offered sexual services so they could drug men and steal from them have been jailed for 17 years each. LBC weather, cloud and showers in Northern Ireland and Scotland tonight, warm with clear spells elsewhere, and a low of 15 degrees.
LBC Travel, I'm Louise Gookie. Services are suspended on Southern because a train has derailed near Lewis, with all lines closed running through the station. Delays are expected until at least 10 p.m. Also on the trains, the hot weather is causing delays and cancellations across the network, so do check before you travel. On the tubes, there are delays on the Bakerloo, Circle, Hammersmith and City, Metropolitan and Jubilee lines, and the District line is suspended between Edgware Road and High Street, Kensington. On the roads, it's heavy on the M11 both ways because of an accident at junction 6 for the M25, and in Rainham, 2 lanes are closed eastbound on the A13. That's because a car has caught fire between the Ferry Lane interchange and the Wennington interchange, which is causing delays.
This is LBC.
Ready for some good news about motoring costs? Get 10% off Tesco car insurance. Use your Tesco Club card when you buy or renew a car policy with Tesco Insurance and save 10% with Club card prices. There's a range of cover options, and get this, we've even been named a Which Best Buy 2026 for our gold car insurance cover. To save your 10%, search Tesco car insurance and get your quote today. Club card required. Excludes add-ons. T's and C's apply.
Call Tom Swarbrick 0345 6060 973 LBC.
So, I went to M&S to grab a cheeky pack of Percy Pigs, but I left with my dinners more or less sorted for a couple of nights this week. I spotted some British beef meatballs. I thought they'd be great for this evening because I have some friends coming round. Then I saw some Thai green curry paste, grabbed that, topped up on rice, love a bit of spice. Then I figured, better get more apples. It's the only fruit my granddaughter will eat. I left feeling rather chuffed. This is not just food, this is M&S food, subject to availability.
Sandy!
Where's?
Long time no see.
Go.
Oh,
you're chirpy as always. I'm off to London for a spot of shopping.
Me? I got tickets to a gig, so I'm gonna go peck that out.
Get advance fare train tickets to London for just £10 in the rail sale. Book before the 12th of January for travel between 13th of January and 25th of March. South Western Railway. Spread your wings. Search SWR Great British Rail Sale. T's and C's apply.
Picture your car. You want to sell it, but you feel trapped by the chains of your finance team. Now, listen closely. Hear that? That was the sound of your car selling and the cash hitting your account. It's easy to sell your financed car on Motorway. We'll handle the admin and pay off the finance for you. It's not magic, it's Motorway. Sell your car today at motorway.co.uk. Process may vary in case of negative equity.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC with Tom Swarbrick.
5 the time. We are keeping a close eye on events in Lewis and Sussex, where there has been a train derailment involving Southern trains. The Transport Secretary is saying that she is deeply concerned. Emergency services are at the scene there. They say that they are assisting with people who are impacted by that train derailment. There are images emerging from the scene too of what looks like a carriage on its side down the embankment from the train line. Emma Cora is obviously South East of England correspondent. Emma, what more can you tell us?
Keep right.
Well, Tom, at the moment we know a passenger train has derailed in the Lewis area in between Haywards Heath and Lewis. As you say, images circulating right now on social media seem to show train carriages on their side. People also been seen in these images standing on 2 of the carriages. Other carriages remain upright on the track with emergency vehicles nearby. British Transport Police confirmed it was at the scene close to Lewis Station alongside paramedics and the fire service. Paramedics and the fire service saying they were called around 4 o'clock to this derailment. Emergency services as well, Tom, of course, asking people to avoid the area, and anyone travelling by rail in the area is being asked to allow up to an hour for their journeys. We also, of course, now have several rail routes in the area closed. No trains running between Brighton and Lewis, Haywards Heath and Lewis, Seaford, Eastbourne and Lewis as well. And for anyone on any of the trains brought to a standstill at the moment, Southern Rail is asking people that they remain on the train and await further instruction, because, of course, this is having a huge impact on the network. Anyone else travelling, as I said, being asked that it's very likely their journey is going to be delayed, so perhaps use an alternative route. That's also coming from Southern Rail. That is the information we have at the moment, Tom. As I said, these trains, or this derailment at the moment, we've got one carriage, it seems, on its side, and people have been standing on top of it.
We don't think, Emma, at this stage, we don't know that there has been a crash per se. It may well be that the carriage has come off the rails sort of independently from anything else hitting it, perhaps.
Yeah, and that's potentially what it looks like at the moment in the images we're seeing on social media, and it is being described at the moment as a derailment rather than a crash, but I'm sure that we will get more details, and British Transport Police saying they will update us, of course, once they know more.
Emma, really appreciate it. Thank you. Emma Core, LBC's South East of England correspondent, with the latest details from that train derailment near Lewes in East Sussex. If you happen to be listening to us on a Southern train that is perhaps at a standstill because obviously the line is being sorted out by emergency service workers, they're being potentially being treated there, do let us know. 03456060973. I can bring you word from the Lewes MP James McCleary saying he's very aware of concerning reports of a train crash in the area this afternoon. He says this is clearly a very serious and developing incident. My thoughts are with everyone affected. Much more detail throughout the course of the afternoon. Catherine is in Muswell Hill to talk university and A-levels. Catherine, hi.
Hello, Tom. Hi. I got very frustrated listening to your minister, Georgia Gould, I think it was.
Go straight on.
Same old. Every time you listen to this subject, and it is one that's quite close to my heart. I have a young person in my family about to go to university in a month's time. I have no idea, he has no idea whether when he emerges 3 years from now, there will be a job for him. The debt is barely worth thinking about because it just makes you want to cry, and how that will accrue, even once he starts paying back. If he were to choose, and we did discuss it, not to go to university, what would, never mind about getting a job, what about getting a job and a career? And I don't mean that in a snobby way, I mean that in the sense of security, having some kind of idea of what his earnings might be over his lifetime, what he'd be able to afford without he'd be able to afford as his own home. I brought up 5 children, my eldest now lives in the States and is an academic there, and it is remarkable to me that, one woman, me, has brought up 5 children in this country, and each of those children has had a completely different educational experience and expectation when emerging from university. So how you are meant to advise a young person now what choices to make at what point, it is beyond me.
Well, part of it, I guess, is what is it that you want from this process of tertiary education? Do you want to go into the world of work being in the best possible position to get a job? Do you want to find out more about living independently as a young adult, making friends? Do you want to learn for learning's sake? All of those are part of the consideration for it.
I'll find a new route.
I expect you want all of those things, but you would put up with just one or two of them.
But I'm not sure you can have. I'm not sure it is all of those things now.
No,
when my parents went to university, it was that.
Yeah, sure. I'm probably the same. No, I'm probably not the same age as your parents. I have no idea how old you are, but I'm probably not a million miles away. And
let's
you
find
had a guest on saying that you got a job for life. You didn't get a job for life, but you did get a legitimate expectation that you'd be able to have work if you kept your head down and were serious about it. And that legitimate expectation is no longer there. That's the key point.
Well, can I point to what might be considered a degree of hypocrisy from the Prime Minister? I don't think it is, by the way, but this is the argument from some. There you have Andy Burnham, a young working-class northern lad, told, go on, son, apply for Cambridge, and he thinks, I'm not sure that's for me, that's all very a long way away from where I'm from, etc. Clearly bright enough to do it, gets in, gets the degree, going to Cambridge opens doors, he then goes into politics, he becomes Prime Minister. Is it saying that route of what is effectively social mobility is now unavailable or shouldn't be available, is not the right course for the next generation of young, smart, working class young people?
Well, I don't think it's hypocritical, no, but what I think it is a bit dishonest, because the truth is now, there's no way Cambridge or other universities of, kind of high
Here
caliber can distinguish between the absolute, tens of thousands of people who've got the grades that would afford them that level of, that's just the truth of it. So when Andy Burnham, I would love to see the stats. When he applied, I would expect it was much, much better odds than it would be for a young person now who could easily have all A stars and not get a place. Easily. I could pay for my house with anecdotes of that kind.
Finding new routes.
So what's a young person to do? It's one thing to work for work's sake, study for study's sake, because yes, it is a good, for sure. It's good to put your head down and learn stuff, and it's interesting, and good things come. But ultimately, you want something the other side of it. You are going to grow up, you're going to want to leave home, you're going to want to be financially independent, and ideally you're going to want to do something with your life where you have some autonomy, some sense of purpose.
And some money. I mean, sorry to get to brass tacks about it, but some cash behind you. Again, Catherine, brilliantly done. Thank you very much indeed. I share your indignation, actually, and worry, particularly when, and I'm sorry to keep coming back to it, but those US workers who are what's described as functioningly literate, can read a sentence they are not in any way as skilled or as qualified as a young person who is coming out of university in this country. But those US workers earn on average almost $30 an hour. 2/3 of them are in work. Their British counterparts make the equivalent of $20 an hour, and fewer than half of them are employed. That tells you something, one, about the state of our education system, which is good. We train people to a high level, but we train them to a high level to not work, or to work at a level of income that is comparable with a functioningly illiterate worker in the United States. That's not sustainable. 03456060973 528. Let's get a business update. Chris Justin is here from Seven Investment Management with news of the UK economy's big slowdown.
That's right. So despite an awful lot of good work from everyone, tremendous shifts during the World Cup in June, the UK economy only grew by 0.4% in the second quarter of the year. And I say only because that's slower than the 0.6% growth that it reached in the first quarter. The main culprit was May. If you look at the 3 months, growth pretty much flatlined. But the service sector, so pubs and bars, restaurants, all of those places basically showing the football and sun, helped June to offset this with 0.3% growth. So I'd say not boom time, but this is one of the stronger G7 economies over the course of the second quarter. And I think despite a fairly negative sentiment, because we love a sappuccino in this country, don't we? We love to talk it down. We are muddling through.
Sorry, a sappuccino?
A sappuccino. We love a moan. We love to get around a coffee machine and just, it's hot, I didn't get air conditioning, I slept terribly, and we do like to find a reason to have a little bit of a don't we? Yeah, you're welcome, Stan, Tom. But look, the Bank of England earlier on this year predicted growth in the second quarter of only 0.1%, and we've ended up with 0.4%, so I think we'll take it. I think if I summarised it, forget quantitative easing, forget interest rates, what we need is 30-degree weather in England playing football. That's what we need for growth.
You'll be aware that your colleague, Ben Kumar, was going to brief you about the success or otherwise of Freeport. I asked him yesterday about whether they have been successful in delivering growth locally in the regions in which they have been. He said you'd know. Yeah, I just said, Ben, luckily I've got broad shoulders because I'm tired of having to carry you with this sort of intellectual content. In a nutshell, because he is actually interested in this stuff, and as you know, because Ben did visit a recycling centre in his spare time, he is very much in detail on these things. So he was self-flagellating for most of the evening and did some real in-depth research on it. And he's asked me to share with you that effectively, for people who don't know, free ports are like a bubble where you can go and state your business and not pay as much tax when custom rules don't apply. It creates £2.9 billion in value, which obviously does sound good on paper, but this is just shifting deck chairs really, Tom. As only a third of that is new value. The rest just moved from one zone in the UK into that free port. So effectively still growth in nearby areas. At least a third of the jobs created in those zones were due to those businesses moving from one space into another. So the real acid test is going to be how you then measure that versus somewhere else completely different in the UK to establish whether or not it really is additive.
And also, by the way, from a tariff point of view, this is less problematic in the UK than it is, for example, in the US. So the actual incentive of them isn't as high as you might think. But obviously, from a tax perspective, people take everything they can at the moment.
Quite. Okay, so maybe not the rollicking great success they were hoped. Chris, thank you very much indeed. Chris Justin from Seven Investment Management. You're listening to Tom Swarbrick here on LBC. Coming up,
bills went down in the 2010s and customers got the benefit of that. They're now going up to fund the reservoirs and other infrastructure.
Despite a hosepipe ban, infrastructure creaking, huge dividends being paid out, your water bill, ladies and gentlemen, is going to go up. About 2 million homes in the southern water region are set to have the highest bills in the land. We'll tell you how much they're going up by. And of course, we're keeping a very close eye on this train derailment near Lewes railway station in Sussex. We've got some images which we think are from inside the train carriage itself. We'll bring you the details of that in just a few moments. 5:32, news headlines now. Tim Humphrey.
The Transport Secretary says she's deeply concerned about reports of a train derailing at Lewes in East Sussex. Heidi Alexander says emergency services are working to assist passengers. A senior government source has told LBC there are thought to be no fatalities or serious injuries in the derailment. 38.1 degrees has been recorded at Kew Gardens, making it the hottest day of the year so far. Health Secretary Yvette Cooper's warning the NHS must adapt to cope with summer pressures as well as winter ones. A 102-year-old man has died after being assaulted at a pub in Gwent. Philip Ormerod was attacked in Cwmbran at the start of the month. LBC weather, cloud and showers in Northern Ireland and Scotland tonight, warm with clear spells elsewhere, and a low of 15 degrees.
This is LBC.
Someone who's 100. Local news update. Joining us on the line, the village council. What's your plan to fix our roads?
Oh, Haribo Star Mix. My favourite is Love Heart because I love Hearts. Delicious. The ring could plug the potholes. I would use the egg because you can just bounce away my granny fold in a pothole.
Councillors, have you been at the Haribo Star Mix again?
Maybe.
So I decided I'd head to M&S and grab a lasagna for dinner. Instead, I ended up getting quite a few bits and bobs for the week. I picked up a bag of mushrooms and cream for some pasta I'll have on Tuesday. Then I thought I'd throw in some thyme when I passed the fresh herbs. And I suddenly remembered things were going to heat up, so I thought, a barbecue might be on the cards. So I'd grab some chipolatas and sweet corn. It's what I like to call a smooth operation. This is not just food. This is M&S food, subject to availability.
At Boots, we've got more beauty than you might expect. Like the number 7 Peptide Glow Lip Balm Gloss, Valentino Born in Roma Mists, Lancome Absolute Longevity, P. Louise, and Benefit, MAC, Estee Lauder, and Clinique, not to mention Lizard. So whether it's the latest beauty trend or a time-tested classic, make more room for beauty at Covent Garden. Boots, with you for life. Subject to availability online and in selected stores.
Let's be real. I'm a catch. I'm funny, confident, handsome, but get to know me and you'll see my soft side. I'm always on the move, chasing sunsets, chasing vibes. I just want to find my perfect match.
How about these square frames with mirror lenses?
Yeah.
Or perhaps a pink tint?
That's it.
At Specsavers, you can mix and match frames, tints and lenses to create your unique pair of sunglasses. And get £40 off Reactions mirror and polarising lenses. Conditions apply. See in-store for details.
This is LBC. Message Tom Swarbrick on WhatsApp now on 0345 6060 973.
5:35 the time. You get into enormous amounts of debt, what is in effect a graduate tax. You come out of your time at university and there aren't the sort of first rung of the ladder jobs that there once were, whether it's a combination of AI or a bad business environment in which to hire young people. They're looking more for experience. So there you are, aged 23, incredibly well educated, highly educated, to a very good standard, and you've not got a job going for you. In fact, you're doing a job on minimum wage and trying to keep things ticking over. You look across the pond, there's a US worker who is functionally illiterate, hasn't been educated to that degree, does not have that debt, and they are earning more than you. In effect, don't want to put it too crudely, Cletus is out earning you.
Hey, you know what? I could call my ma while I'm up here. Hey, Ma! Get off the dang roof!
Now state of the British economy, if you can educate people to an incredibly high standard, which is in and of itself a good thing, but you rack up huge amounts of debt and you can't find a job that pays very well, what is it for? 03456060973 is the number. Alan's in Fulham. Hi, Alan.
Hello. Yeah, now we want 10,000 visas for people from the continent who are going for a PhD, at the end of which they've already got a credible startup. The best example I can think of was the Single Point gun site, which turned rotten shots, soldiers, police, civilians, into people who could hit the target.
Right.
And the bloke had the last stages of his research to do. And Sweden is not a good place for research. That's why so many of them go all over the world.
Well, I think, Alan, if you want to, we have astonishing universities who are producing amazing people who are doing incredible things there. They've got startup businesses that are actually ending up going to America, where there is much, much deeper pools of capital to invest in it. Many more people willing to take a risk on those potential startup businesses, which is one problem we've got. But then you have the people who do not carry on academia past degree level, who are struggling at the moment to find work.
You won't find work. The way to find work is to offer to people in Europe, where it's extremely difficult to get a good PhD and do good research. Much easier here. But there are tons of people who don't want to do research because they're bone idle. Then the research facilities are there. Well, somebody told me on your side not so long ago that people can't work a 20-hour day. Now, Tony Scribner would have laughed about it because he did that for about 50 years. Admittedly, he had some good time off, and he used to go sort of shark fishing in interesting places.
Well, that sounds lovely for Tone. I think working a 20-hour day has got to be a choice rather than a commitment by your boss to make you do it, because that's a bit of a facer. But it would be good to be at work if you can get it. And I say it again, thank you, Alan, that almost a fifth of those young people who are not in education, employment or training are graduates. So it's not, I don't think that this is a middle class, pull the ladder up behind you, well, it's good enough for my children but not your children type thing. Good enough is in the eye of the beholder. It's what is going to make best use of abilities, talents, wishes, desires, fundamentally in order to get a job. I think that is going to be the primary driver for millions of people now. And if in your household you've opened your A-levels, or you have your son, your daughter who's opened their A-levels and they're off to university, I wonder to what extent you worry about that. Do you worry? I mean, great for them, but do you worry that this is the right call at the right time? 03456060973. Next.
We need to get water bills down, and that means putting those services under stronger public control. We have a situation with water where the shareholders never lose, the bill payers never win, and that can't carry on.
Andy Burnham has accused water companies of treating customers like a blank cheque after suppliers announced higher bills for millions of households under hose pipe bans. Sophie Conquest is the lead campaigner of We Own It. Thank you very much indeed for coming on, Sophie. Tell us what We Own It is.
Hi Tom, thanks so much for having me. So We Own It is a campaigning organisation, and we campaign for public ownership of key services, and at the moment we're doing a lot of work campaigning for public ownership of water, starting with the collecting Thames Water, which should have been in special administration a long time ago, and from there we can bring it into permanent public ownership.
How much would public ownership of Thames Water cost?
So public ownership of Thames Water is affordable. That is the really important thing. So at the moment, Thames Water, its finances are in dire straits.
Yes.
The previous Conservative government has said that they were looking at plans to cut Thames Water's debts by about 40%. Their finances have worsened significantly since then. We can cut those debts even more. It is a question of when it's in special administration, deciding how much the debts are cut by. Then once they're in the public sector, once it's in public hands, that debt is refinanced much more cheaply with much lower interest rates. So it's much more affordable. In fact, the reality is we can't afford privatisation, as these recent bill increases show. We've got so much money leaking out of the
cost of refinancing and repaying the debt on the public balance sheet, but also the cost of running a company like Thames Water serves millions and millions of people. Again, is there a sense of how much all that would cost the taxpayer, and it would ultimately go on their bill?
We're already paying for those companies to be run. That's what our bills are for, and in fact, that's why.
So the bills won't change, or would the bills change? Would the bills come down with public ownership?
So approximately a third of our water bills goes on financing really expensive debt and payouts to shareholders. That's a third of our water bills, which if water was publicly owned, would come back into the system. We can use that money and fix the infrastructure.
We'd still be financing debt.
We'd still be financing debt, but it would be much cheaper on the public balance books. And as I was saying earlier, the reason why water companies are so sought after by investors is because they are an asset, because you have a guaranteed stream of income in the form of bills. Under public ownership, that guaranteed stream of income sits within the Treasury. That is an asset that we have as a nation, and we can use that flow of income into the Treasury and use that money to fix our infrastructure and to lower bills.
So it would is the aim that it would be cost neutral in that sense? You would pay your bill, all that money that you were paying in your bill would go to upgrade, upkeep, pay the workers, pay the staff, whatever, and it would sort of average out. It would be a net neutral.
Yeah, and we would hope that under public ownership that we can actually decrease bills as well. Scotland have publicly owned water; their bills are cheaper than ours, and water is publicly owned in 90% of the world. What we have in England under a privatised system is in reality a failed ideological experiment, and it's one that the rest of the world have increasingly in a trend have departed from. I think it's time for us to go along with that trend, the pragmatic choice, and bring water into public hands, starting with Thames Water.
Sophie Conquest, lead campaigner of We Own It. Thank you very much, Steve, for your time. So here are those increases. The largest increases in bills will be felt by those customers of Southern Water. You will pay £43 more in 2027, falling to £37 more in 2029. £43 more. Now, it's presumably a year. It can't be a month. Meanwhile, Thames Water, so you've got 43 quid more in 2027 for Southern Water. Over at Thames Water, bills will rise by 3 quid in 2027, £5 in 2029. Severn Trent by £3 and then £5. Wessex Water £4 to 7. South East Water, my friends, will raise bills by £1 in 2029. They should be paying me. Honestly, the number of households near us that haven't had water for a long time. Tunbridge Wells, they had to shut schools for day after day after day because they didn't have access to running water. Absurdity. Would it be cheaper under public ownership? 03456060973 the number. Tom Swarbrick here on LBC. Coming up.
I saw a TikTok of people basically were queuing up to buy them. So I said, let me just go there and see if maybe I can sell mine for a lot more.
I love this story. And I honestly think that your gut reaction to what has happened here, not to oversell this, but the future of the country is kind of reliant on your gut reaction to what we're going to play you after the news at 6. Okay? We'll play it to you in full, and I don't even want you to think about it. I just want your gut instinct about what's gone on there. Talk about it more after the news at 6. Tom Swarbrick here, 5:45 headlines now. Tim Humphrey.
A train has derailed near Lewes Station in East Sussex with reports of 2 carriages on their side, but a government source has told us there are not thought to be deaths or serious injuries as a result. 38.1 degrees Celsius has been recorded at Kew Gardens in West London, the hottest reading of the year so far. A Romanian couple who killed 2 men and drugged 2 others to steal from them have been jailed for 17 years each. LBC weather, cloud and showers in Northern Ireland and Scotland tonight, warm with clear spells elsewhere, and a low of 15 degrees.
LBC Travel, I'm Louise Gookie. As we have been hearing, services are suspended on Southern because a train has derailed near Lewes, with all lines closed running through the station. Delays are expected until at least 10 p.m. Also on the trains, the hot weather is causing delays and cancellations across the network, so do check before you travel. On the tubes, there are severe delays on the Piccadilly, Bakerloo and the Jubilee lines, and the District line is suspended between Edgware Road and High Street Kensington, and between Earls Court and Wimbledon. On the roads, everyone's being held on the M25. That's because a lorry is broken down at junction 5 for the M26, and it's heavy on the M11 in both directions after an accident at junction 7.
This is LBC.
Big days out with rumbly tunnels. £1.85 for co-op members. And it even includes ice creams. Co-op, owned by you, right by you.
Selected products subject to availability. Co-op group membership required. £1 joining fee. Full terms at co-op.co.uk.
This is LBC. Listen on our free Global Player app or the LBC app. Download it now from your app store.
Octopus Energy is now Britain's biggest energy supplier, trusted by over 8 million customers. But did you know we also do electric cars? And what's better with us? You get the whole package. The car, the charger, and the energy. So, if you're looking for some great expert advice on going electric, just search Octopus EV. Octopus EV. Rated excellent on Trustpilot from over 5,000 reviews. Visit octopus.energy/better for verification.
Guys, gals and non-binary pals, we're Copperfield, the UK's only breast cancer awareness charity for young people. We educate people on the signs and symptoms of breast cancer, as when found early, treatments are more effective and survival rates higher. This is your reminder to check your boobs, chest or pecs. Find everything you need to get started, including our digital tool, the self-checkout, at copperfield.org. You're never too young to start checking. Early detection can save lives. So go on, Copperfield.
Ears are great, aren't they? One on each side of your head for stereo. It's because of ears that radio ads can amplify your advertising. 40 million adults listen to commercial radio every week. That's 80 million ears, give or take. See radio differently at radiocentre.org.
Go all Irish to France with great low prices. With Irish Ferries, you can for less. Irish Ferries, see you travel differently. T's and C's apply.
Up to speed. Your Formula One podcast. Round 12, we head to the Netherlands for the Dutch Grand Prix.
New episodes every Monday and Thursday on YouTube or Global Player.
A message from TfL for drivers and motorcyclists. Before you turn, look around. Is there a cyclist in your path or approaching behind you? You now need to always let them pass before you turn. Follow the highway code to keep everyone safe. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
Serious about the right vitamins for you and your family? Trust Vitabiotics, the UK's #1 vitamin company for expert nutritional care for every age and lifestyle. Vitamins for everyone, including well man, well woman, well baby and well kid. From Boots, pharmacies and Vitabiotics.com. For #1 verification, see Vitabiotics.com.
Get the whole package with Octopus Energy EV. The car, the charger and the energy. Octopus Energy EV. Rated excellent on Trustpilot from over 5,000 reviews.
This is LBC. Message Tom Swarbrick on WhatsApp now on 0345 6060 973.
10 to 6 the time. Tom Swarbrick here on LBC. Let me bring you a statement from Network Rail in relation to the derailed train near Lewes in East Sussex. A spokesman for Network Rail and Southern Rail has said this. We can confirm that the 1424 Southern passenger service from Victoria to Eastbourne has derailed in the Lewes area of East Sussex. Emergency services are on site. We will update with more information when we can. Trains through the area are suspended and passengers are advised to check online at southernrailway.com for the latest service information. Confirmation then from the network that a train has derailed. More as we get it on that. Amit's in Coventry. You want to talk about the water bills going out, Amit? Hi.
Hi Tom, how you doing?
Yeah, good. Thoughts?
I would love to be the chief regulator of Ofwat, to be honest. I'll put myself forward for this job, and I'm going to give you the suggestion that's going to solve all your problems. Dynamic fining. I want to see the water companies fine per gallon, per day, on the amount of pollution that they produce, and it is before the shareholders take their money. I guarantee you, within 12 months, it's going to go down, and then in the second year, I'm going to put the rate up. I'm going to keep doing it until it gets to zero.
Keep right.
There you go, problem
then
solved.
Turn right.
I think this dumping of waste illegally scandal is going to kick off even more. I think it is going to be don't want to cast aspersions or denigrate anybody unfairly or without evidence, but it strikes me that there are serious questions to answer about the relationship between the water companies and the reporting of those spills to Ofwat, and whether people were, how do we want to put this, forthcoming about the truth.
Possibly fraudulent.
you might use those words, Amit. I couldn't possibly comment. But yes, I think you're right. I mean, I think there has been a bit of a revolving door between the regulator and those companies for quite some time.
The crime has to fit the time has to fit the crime. The fine that they're getting doesn't make it worthwhile for them to stop the waste. The fine needs to be so heavy and so dynamic that they quickly adapt. And it's better to clean up the water than the other rubbish that they're doing and paying each other crazy amounts of money because they can afford to, because they don't care about the waste. So dynamic fining in regulatory policy should be a game changer. And I should be leading off on that. I should be there. I'll put it in tomorrow. I'll put it in. I don't care. We should treat our country with respect and the water around it.
Amit, I like this. I like the option. Thank you very much indeed. I'll put your name into the hat for the chief of Ofwat. Thank you very much indeed for the call. John, just before I come to you about the universities, let me just say that we have been sent some images in of what we think is the derailed train from inside the carriage that is turned onto its side, with people standing on what was effectively the side of the carriage that is now upturned to become the roof. We are hoping to verify them further, but it seems to be consistent with the other images that are circulating. One of them points back to the track that the train has come on, and we'll get these images up at lbc.co.uk, we'll put them on the app. It does seem to be buckled and then some. This track that the train seems to have come off from seems to be incredibly all over the place and higgledy-piggledy and wiggly, and a number of carriages. I mean, we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, possibly 5 or 6 carriages that have tipped over onto the side. Go and have a look for yourself. As I say, we're hoping to verify them further. The images are on the website, lbc.co.uk. They're on the app as well. Make sure you've got the app downloaded to see those. John's on the Wirral. Hi, John.
Hi, Tom. Thanks for having me. Take my call. Just thoughts on obviously everyone who's been in that derailment. Obviously, thoughts and prayers with them. Just on the courses, I think from my point of view and experience, having gone through uni, having redone another qualification, and obviously friends, that's almost 20 years ago now. Looking at friends and the degrees they did, I feel like, and obviously when I went to uni, the choice of course was so vast, and when I look at what careers my friends, my family, my partner, they're doing, the ones who went into the careers that really they were studying for, the ones who did core subjects, so engineers, doctors, people who did geography, then went into sort of land survey related jobs. Just thinking of one particular. I feel like at university now there's a big push, or there was for a long time, of giving a huge, vast amount of course, and I think that's a core issue for young people now, is that when they're approaching businesses, they might have gone and done a business degree would be a good one, but they might have done other business with media, for example, but that is then bottlenecked in one way. You miss that speciality of things now.
But I also wonder whether it works the other way too, John, because the argument I hear for the university